Hello, and welcome to Me, My Friends, and I, the podcast where unlicensed adults give unsolicited advice with your host and new friend, Brittany.
Is the mic moving too much?
No, it's fine.
Okay, because
No, it'll be fine.
Okay.
It'll be fine. What about us? Kiss from a rose and scale.
you need to learn the lyrics if you're gonna be singing.
You're full of shit. That's not the first time I got that.
Yeah.
How dare you though? Because at least I commit. I can commit to the way the words are sounding, ish. Baby, I was getting better kiss from a rose and a star.
And what a wonderful world. No, that's not Louis Armstrong.
You know I've gotten started. Welcome to.
Oh, we started?
You. Why do you do this? Like,
No, we really did start.
I
Not
feel
my
like you-
Louis Armstrong.
you should. You see, that's why you can't.
It
You gotta-
fell over.
You need to put some respect on his name.
Okay, is this good?
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Okay, it did fall over that. See? I'll just hold it. It's good.
No, don't hold it.
Okay.
I'll fix it.
I have some crackers and cheese in my fridge,
Nobody
and
wants
it's so
that.
good.
Why are you making it? Okay. What's so good about it?
I haven't had crackers and cheese in a while, and it's so nice to have it not at like a party setting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good. I got it from Costco. So, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I all you're really showing me is that you don't treat yourself enough.
I don't, which my parents my mom tells me all the time that I deserve to treat myself every so often.
I think people should treat themselves every time they can get the chance. I feel like it's one thing that you don't get tired of, really.
That's true. And I do say treat yourself to a lot of people.
You say that
and
shit
I don't.
all the time, and I swear to God, sometimes I want to slap you for saying it because I'm like,
You know where that's from?
yes, I do. It's from.
You don't know where it's from. Parks and Recreation.
I knew that.
Did you though?
I
You
really
didn't
did. I
say
just couldn't
it.
remember his name because I was going to call him Aziz Ansari.
That's his name. His real name.
Oh, okay, good. I just
Yeah.
thought, I didn't want to. I couldn't tell if that was the same one. I mean, same guy.
Awkward.
I couldn't tell. But yeah, and then he's annoying in that show to me. He's like, treat yourself. And I just don't like when he puts on this, like, I don't know.
I know what you're talking. Like the act.
He puts on that thing, and I'm just like, go away.
Okay.
So,
The mic's moving, so I'm trying to like.
Jesus Christ.
It's not moving like that. It's like moving up and down a little bit.
No, that's fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure it doesn't.
No,
fall
you don't have
over
to, like,
again.
it's fine. It's not going to fall over because I cotched it in the
Oh, nice.
in the
Okay.
couch thing. So
You're
you'll,
so professional.
please, I need to get better at this.
You will each time.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like you're afraid of the mic.
I'm not afraid of the mic.
Okay. Is Beyonce afraid of the? She's not afraid of the mic.
Beyonce not afraid of anything.
She's not. I can talk about a few things that she might be afraid of.
What you
deep
talking
down.
about? Her
Lots
kids?
of things.
Her
Lots
kids?
of lots. She could be afraid of a lot of things, but we're not going to do that.
Okay.
Okay, we're not going to go there.
Because we don't know her.
We don't know her.
We don't.
We don't know nothing.
We pretend like we know these people and we don't.
And that's what's wrong. What do they call them? Parasocial relationships.
Oh, really? That's what it's called?
I think so. It's like the relationship you feel that you have with someone on social media who you've only met through social media. I don't know if it was created or coined at the time of like the influencer or if it was alive and well before then, but that is a real thing.
That's very interesting.
When you pay attention to certain people, like everybody starts off the same for the most part. Hey guys, thank you for coming to my channel. And they fucking talk for 17 minutes and they say, well, let's get right into it. Bitch, if you don't, stop lying on this channel.
Kind of like what we're doing now.
But that's not fair. That's not fair because in the teaser, I say, we're going to tangent on this motherfucker.
Okay,
we are going to
good.
tangent, so.
I have a friend who is scared of meeting famous people because what she sees on the screen, she knows is not what they're really like. And so it kind of messes with her head to see them in real life and like think you know them, but you don't. It's like too much.
Bless her, because that's a good idea. You don't know these people.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, some people get mad that certain celebrities or whatever, you know, are mean or they act certain kinds of ways. And I'm just like, you should never thought of them any other way. Like, you don't know them. Oh,
That's
so-and-so
true.
is actually mean. They were always mean.
That's true. That's true.
And then now you want to like cancel them because they're freaking mean. Your boss is mean. Cancel your boss.
You can't. But did you see at the Met the Doechii when she was like yelling at her staff?
I did see this.
Yeah, it kind of made me turn off to her music.
No, not even a little bit.
Really?
That is so funny that you would even say that because one, she's a human being.
That's true.
And people have done worse and folks will still say, oh, they're a human being.
That's true, but I think it's just the way she was talking to people I didn't like.
I think that's something that can come out when it's a high stakes moment.
The Met Gala is the high stakes?
As far as a relatively new artist that's trying to make a name for themselves, and you don't know what kind of monies were attached to her look. She's trying to make a statement. It's probably not just all ego driven. Like there might be something attached to what kind of hype or fame she can gain further from like concealing her dress.
Okay.
And people compared it to like, oh, like certain people, some bigger, celebrities didn't conceal their dress. When they're bigger, they're much bigger. They don't have to really do that. Like they don't have to pretend.
Okay, so I like that way of thinking. I might listen to her on the way home then.
That's ridiculous. Let's get into the topic because I'm about to go off on you. Please do reveal the theme for today or this month.
I might get it wrong.
You
so
will.
Please.
You totally will. But I'll go on.
Forgive and forget. Forget to forgive.
See, I swear to God. You're pretty much right. Let me not come for you.
Thank you.
Forgive and forget or forget forgiving.
Do you watch those videos?
I do.
Do you laugh at them? I never think the jokes they say are funny.
So the jokes aren't necessarily funny, but the way that they're cracking up at each other is actually what I enjoy.
Okay.
So yeah, but I will say that there's a spinoff. I think she may have been like one of the original creators, but there's like one of them has a relationship with this guy. I hope it's a real relationship. I think they may have gotten married, but
oh, that's sweet.
The way that they make their like work together, like they make content together and it's just like skits and stuff. It's just really cute and funny. Like they're doing some wild shit and it's just like what you might experience in a relationship.
That's cute. I like that.
But yeah, I'm not necessarily laughing at the joke, like the jokes that they're
It's their reactions.
Yeah, and then also I think they've kind of created a recipe for it and I feel like they might be beating it a little too hard.
A lot too hard.
Because the way that I see like certain ones like borderline nearly in tears, I'm like, did y'all do crack right before this? Or like, did you do something right before this? Because it ain't that funny. Why are you...
not that... None of the jokes are funny.
They look like... Whoa.
I'm sorry. None of the jokes are funny. I've never laughed once at the joke.
Okay.
And I'm like, why are they cracking up like that? I'm sorry. I'm very spicy right now, and I shouldn't be.
No, you can be whatever you want in this house.
No, because I don't want to...
It's a safe space.
If it brings people joy and it's like someone else's art, I don't like to rag on.
But that's what art...
Rag on. Do you like that? I haven't used that in a long time.
I don't think I've ever heard you use it, actually.
Right?
It's okay.
It brought me back to the 90s.
Can't relate.
Forgot you were born after the towers fell.
R.I.P. That's...
R.I.P. R.I.P.
That's truly... They're not going to do this. Do you know where you were?
I do know where I was.
Where were
exactly. You? I was in 5th grade classroom and we were doing math. And then this teacher came to whisper to my teacher. And she said, oh, I'll tell them after we're done with this lesson. And I got really excited because I was like, I love an interruption in the day. I was like, oh my God, are we getting cupcakes or something?
No, ma'am.
And then she like explained it, but she was like, we're telling you more because we were the 5th graders. So we were the oldest in the school.
Yeah.
So she was like, we're telling you more than the other kids, but there was like a attack on the country. And then like kids started getting pulled out left and right.
Yep.
And then I was like one of the last kids in the school to get pulled out. My classroom. But that's basically the school. And I was
You were one of the last kids to get pulled out?
Right? It doesn't sound like my parents.
It doesn't.
But I think they had to like coordinate picking up my sister, and then
Who did they pick up first?
I think my mom picked up my sister from the babysitter.
Okay.
And then my dad picked up me, and then we picked up my brother.
Save the youngest.
Then we picked up a pizza. So I was like, is this really that serious? But then when Friends didn't come on Thursday night, I was like, oh, this is serious.
This is big. Okay.
This is big. There's still, the news is still on? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like 10. I didn't know what was going on.
I was much, much younger than that. I was in Jamaica.
Much, much younger?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, whatever.
I'll pull your toe.
I was 10, you were 9.5? No, I'm joking. Continue. Explain your story.
I was in Jamaica, and I remember similar situation where a teacher came and like whispered something to the other teacher. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of announced that like there's something going on in the States, who has family in the States. And like me and one other person or two other people raised our hands. And then like I can't, it's a little fuzzy right now, mm-hmm. but all I know is that my bio mom came to get me and then explained that like what had happened.
Yeah.
And my bio mom's sister, so like my aunt and my cousins, they and my grandmother also were all in New York.
Oh, wow.
So I've actually talked to Titi about this, and she explained like she was here for like the blackouts, brownout, like all types of things, and it's a crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very crazy moment for
I
sure.
was talking to a coworker when I used to work in the group homes, mm-hmm. and he was saying how he was like on the streets in Manhattan and like white stuff was falling down.
Yeah.
And it was like he was waiting for Superman to come and save the day. It was like one of those moments.
Yep.
It was so, yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. Do you want to get back to the forgive and forget?
Probably, we should.
Or forget forgiving?
Yeah, we should.
It's whatever you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
So tell me, when you learned about this topic,
yes,
where'd your mind go?
My mind automatically went to childhood trauma.
Oh, fuck.
And
look. I choose these vague ass themes, and then y'all do shit like this. Y'all do this. I didn't do this, but okay, go ahead.
I went to childhood trauma and forgiving people for things. You want me to move my feet?
No, Babs, you're fine. Forgiving
people for things that happened. Because I feel like when you're developing, I want to say it's harder to forgive people, but I feel like I'm a very forgiving person.
Yeah.
For certain things, but other things like I've not talked to people. Can easily cut someone out. When I was a kid, I didn't forgive. I didn't forget. I was like, mentally, I was like, oh, okay.
Were you the kind of person to want to react or
no,
respond?
Not necessarily react, but I think one thing is that one thing that kind of made me turn off to religion or organized religion was that I was kind of like, when I was a kid, I was like, well, where's God? Why is God not doing anything to step in at this moment? Like, this is his moment to shine. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of like when you're a kid, you kind of like, your family is your world.
Yeah.
And then like school, an extension to that. But it's like, you have no way of escaping anything. It's like, whatever happens to you, you're kind of stuck. And as a kid, I was kind of like, I was very much in my head. So this is not like I was like acting out or anything like that, but I was very much in my head like, oh, I'm not going to forget this.
Yeah.
But then in my family, we don't really apologize. We kind of just like, a couple of days will go by and then all of a sudden people are talking like normal. So it's kind of like a thing where it's forgiven, but it's not like...
I would even ask, what does it really mean to forgive?
I think forgiving is... there's many different stages to forgiving. I think one is acknowledging that something happened.
Now, this is solo work.
This is solo work.
Okay.
Acknowledging what happened and how your feelings, how you felt about it.
Okay.
And then I think the next step is kind of seeing, like, understanding if the person that upsets you or the thing that upsets you has the ability to understand what they did to you and that it upset you.
Okay.
Because some people just don't have that mental maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to kind of, that's part of forgiving. You have to understand the other person.
I'm letting that sit a bit because I want to make sure, I mean, I don't have to agree, right? But I want to really see what that is. I'm trying to see if like that's also been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess there is that a little bit. Like there's definitely like I want to be, is that forgiving? Like I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Yes, I think you're right. Because there is a situation where like, had I understood, if that person showed remorse,
Yeah.
then I would be like, oh, they actually understand that there was an error there. This wasn't much of a mistake,
Yeah.
right? But like premeditated, some might say. But bad things can happen. Mm-hmm. People can do bad things and they can seek forgiveness because they understand the error in their ways. But you're totally right. I'm on board. Okay, so you're saying that there are different stages to forgiveness. So now when you understand that someone's feeling remorse or that they acknowledge or understand that the way that they've hurt you, what's the next phase of?
I think that's the ideal situation, is that the other person does feel remorse and can emotionally understand. Even if they don't agree, they must acknowledge that what they did hurt you in some way.
Now, my next question is, this sounds like, and maybe I'm just projecting a little bit, but it sounds like this would mean, when it doesn't, this would mean that the relationship is to continue. This would mean that the dynamic is to continue, which, let's be clear.
Doesn't always have to happen.
And that's how I really feel this way.
Yeah.
You can forgive someone, mean them no harm or anything bad.
Yeah.
And recognize that this is no longer for you.
Yeah. And that's totally true.
Uh-huh.
I guess I was thinking of it in a way that the relationship continues after. Mm-hmm. But you can forgive and just not want that person in your life anymore.
Is that really forgiving?
I think it's forgiving if you don't hold on to that like emotion anymore. Like you're able to let go of the anger, sadness, anything that comes with it, and forgive that person for whatever they did to you. But that doesn't mean you have to accept who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's challenging about that is when you develop friendships, relationships over time and you feel like you've grown to understand someone's character.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can do a thing that just like kind of throws you on your butt.
Yeah.
And then it's a funky place to be because then you start to doubt everything you've ever seen. Yeah. And it's like this person has like this huge birthmark on their face now that you just cannot unsee.
Yeah.
And yet you have so many memories filled with like them adding to this pot of positivity and joy. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very sticky place to be. But I think that forgiveness I agree with you. I don't think forgiveness means that you continue the relationship. Because, the old adage, like holding a grudge does worse for the person. Yeah, does more damage to the person holding it. And like, I completely concur.
Yeah.
When was the last time you held a grudge?
Ooh. Well, I have a grudge from childhood that I come back to every so often.
Why do you make it sound like you're like, yum, I'm just going to taste test that again?
Because it comes back, because I don't think I've completely processed it.
Oh.
And I don't think I've completely forgiven the person.
Okay.
So it's like a lot of things where like I forget.
You just skip.
I just skip. I'm like forgetting and then it comes back because I haven't dealt with it yet. But the last grudge I've held against someone, I mean, that's a grudge I hold continuously. But the last...
Do you feel like that? How much space? Like, let's say we can split your brain into parts.
Yes.
What percentage of what percent of a brain power does it take to keep that room on? The one where that you're holding that one particular grudge.
It holds much more space than I want it to.
Name it. How much? And I'm talking like 24/7. We're talking 24/7.
I will say before therapy, I started therapy, it held a lot, like maybe 80%.
Girl, that's your whole life.
I know. And I think after starting therapy and like talking about it and working through stuff, it holds like maybe 20%.
How did you do that?
I think it was a combination of talking about it, because for a long time I didn't talk about it and I held it in. And that kind of adds to the pressure, and like I feel like I hold a lot of things in, which is bad. And not talking about it just kind of like makes you, not talking about it makes people think that you forgot or forgiven them, and B, it makes you kind of like the bearer of everything.
Okay.
And I think that is the thing that was annoying me, that people were able to move on so quickly.
Yeah.
But I don't see inside their heads. I don't know how they're thinking, if that's still a thing that they think about still, like I do. But I think just talking about it in therapy, working through emotions, kind of in a way, a part of forgiveness is part of that. Just like acknowledging that whatever happened, and that there's nothing I can do to change that. Like I can't go back in time and like save that little kid. Like it's part of my history. So I think acknowledging that, because I think I've always, not that I like am building time machines and whatnot, but I've always had that kind of like, my therapist said that I sometimes act like I'm waiting for someone to save me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know, right?
What does that look like, acting like you're waiting for someone to save you?
Like kind of being in the driver's seat of your life. Driver's seat. Passenger seat of your life.
Yeah.
And kind of waiting for someone to take the wheel.
But what is it? Can you give us an example
Can I
of
give you
like...
an example?
Just a gentle moment of like, oh, that's just totally an example of me thinking that someone's gonna. Now, is this like is this like prior to, or just like you did a thing and then, just give me an example of what that can look like.
I'm trying to think of an example. I can't, because he hasn't said that to me in a really long time.
Oh, go off.
Work. But I think it would look like me not, I want to say not making my needs and wants heard, and expecting other people to know what I need or want.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
I love that one. That's a challenge right there.
Very big.
Because there's so many things connected to you even building the courage to or feeling normal. Obviously I'm saying courage because of how I feel about it, but like feeling the comfortability / having the courage to be that open with someone, and not feel like you're going to be rejected, which seems to be, rejection. Let me go off on this real quick.
Go off.
I told you about this the other day, but people need to know.
Yes.
Girl, I was walking down Fulton, and there was this man, and he was selling drugs on the street. But it's like kind of legal, so whatever. Long story short, I have 2 big bags in front of me. It's heavy. It's also raining. It's at the end of my day. I'm just trying to set the scene here. The man came, we're talking about rejection. The man came over to me. I had my headphones on, my big ones on, because that's what I use to protect myself and like ward off conversation. And he comes over and he's like, oh, da-da-da. And I was like, what? And he's like, you single? Is you single? And I was like, what? And it's not that I didn't hear him. I was just kind of astonished that he would even try to approach me when I had this huge umbrella. It's raining cats and dogs, and I have 2 huge bags in the front of me. I am busy and I'm annoyed. And he was like, but you can hear me though. And I'm like, this is not about that. Like, and then he goes, is you single though? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is you single? And I said, come on, bro. Like, you see me right now with the umbrella and the bags. Like, and he said, fuck out of here. He said, fuck you then. Fuck you, bitch. And then he proceeded to just berate.
And follow you.
He didn't follow. Well, he lingered, but then I started to walk away because I know better.
Oh, yeah.
And I just continued on.
Oh, he was just loud.
Yes, girl. He was yelling at me as I was going down the street. And like, so all that to say is rejection. I didn't even say anything mean to him.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything bad at all. And like, what is that? I didn't say anything mean to him or bad at all. And like, not for some reason, that is the response that I got. Anyway, so rejection with that, it's hard for people to deal with.
It's very hard.
I'm going to argue that it's harder for men to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's harder for men to deal with because they put themselves out there more, and easier for women to, I don't even know if that's, I think men have more experience. Gall. I think they have more gall, which I was reading this book for a portion of time, and it had something to do with like just women and like how to like get farther in life and shit like that. And they started to talk about a study between like men and women and like pay and why there's the pay gap and like their theory around it. And allegedly it all starts with how they negotiate at the very top of the job. So if he goes in demanding more from the jump and he actually gets it, every raise after that, he's already ahead. He's always going to be ahead.
Yeah.
That's their argument, that like it actually stems from women not being like having enough gall as a man would to step into a place, feel comfortable. But obviously it's not quite built that way, right? It's not built for women to come and feel comfortable and like feel ready to show their worth and be accepted and not receive pushback and like, dim themselves.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I've ever, this is kind of bad. I don't think I've ever negotiated at a new job the pay that they were going to pay me. Mm-hmm. But I did have a job chase me and keep upping the pay.
Yeah, we want that.
Didn't work out, though.
Got it. We like that, though. We want to be chased. I do
like that.
We want to be chased. But, like, anyway, not the experiment, but the
study?
The study was pretty much showing that it started from that. But apparently men, they have this thing about them, naturally, where they are willing to take more risk. And so while I feel like men have more experience with rejection, they're actually worse at handling it. And women have less experience with rejection, but they're better at dealing with it.
Do you think the idea that men are better at like asking for things, like making their wants heard, do you think that's nature or nurture? Like, do you think men are kind of like boys are raised to be more go-getters than girls, or do you think it's just something biological in them?
I mean, I'm always probably going to say a little bit of both, but I would lean on the side of nurture, only because of the society that we live in. Like, there's so much of like raising, so much of the raising and training that goes into like bringing up a human being or like a little boy into a man or whatever, involves like expects them to like go out and get dirty. This is also like an archaic view of like what boys are supposed to be like go out, get dirty. Oh, you fucked up again. Oh, Jimmy. Yeah. Like that kind of deal. And so like they're out here balls to the wall just fucking shit up. All boys will be boys. That kind of rhetoric. Is that did I use that word right?
I'm not sure, but it sounded good.
Let's go for it. That kind of rhetoric, that kind of narrative, whatever. But so I think, yes, I would lean on nurture. I would lean on nurture. And then everything about it from that day on, from those years on, they just keep trying. But then I'm not going to lie. Like I really have gone and seen a guy like approach women on a block time after time, and they just keep on getting rejected. And I'm like, wow, how wonderful it must be, because I can't tell if it's weighing on their self-esteem or not. And I think maybe it doesn't weigh on the self-esteem. It probably only weighs as heavy on the self-esteem, that level of rejection, depending on like how much you desire the thing you just went after.
That is true. I feel like men, or the men you're describing, will go after people just to go after them if they're pretty or something. Like, and it's not like something deep.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're like really like love and you get rejected, that's like a deeper cut.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, the rejection, being able to be in a space with someone where if they reject you, it doesn't hurt so much. And that I think is part of the, part of like an apprehension that comes with like forgiving.
Yeah.
Because you want to know that you're safe and comfortable with this person, that they're going to see your emotions and your situation, your perspective as real.
Yeah.
I'll never argue with an emotion. I'll never argue with that. But the way you act with it, we're going to have something to talk about.
I was rejected by a therapist. Talk about being vulnerable.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
That was bad. Like, that was a bad time for me. Because I was seeing her for about a month. And then she sent me to a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist is very dry. And I couldn't really get anything from her. So I was kind of like, whatever. But based off that meeting, the psychiatrist, I guess, told her, you probably shouldn't see her anymore. And then the therapist met with me one more time. She was like, yeah, I'm going to have to not see you anymore.
That's, you know what? I don't want to judge them because I think maybe they did the right thing for you because look at how far you've come.
That
right?
is true.
But at the same time, that's going to be hard for anyone to hear.
It was very hard for me to hear.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I was also not in the mental space I'm in now.
Exactly.
So it probably was like a protection for them almost. But yeah.
But some people are not equipped to handle certain jobs. Like you were a job that she
true.
couldn't handle.
I was a big job.
Look, a very big job. The contractor, he was like, this is a contractor that's used to dealing with 600 square feet, and you want them to deal with 80,000 square feet.
Yeah.
A ditty mansion, if you will. I don't think she can handle that.
I don't think so either. But I also think jumping someone and not giving them resources, or maybe because I didn't meet with her after that, she might have wanted to give me resources.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I just was just like, nah, if you're not going to see me, then I'm not going to see you.
That's really petty.
It's very petty and it's very unforgiving. But I've forgiven that therapist.
Girl, I also had, well, two things on the rejection from therapists is so look, my current therapist, what up, Bean?
What up?
I don't know. I don't think she listens to these. I've invited her to.
Have you really?
Of course. That's my girl.
Oh, that's nice of you.
That's my girl.
Oh, that's
my
very
girl.
nice.
She's still like, she creates boundaries and whatnot, but like,
Yeah.
that's my girl. I'm her favorite also. Like, I'm not gonna front. I know.
Me and Craig are BFFs.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
No, we're not. He's very big on boundaries.
I'm sure he is. They usually are.
Yeah, that's very upsetting.
It's okay.
Because sometimes I just want to know how your weekend was.
Yeah, but then they recognize that can also play a part into your conversation, and then like they don't need to add.
Oh, yeah.
They don't, right? Because then you start thinking about, oh well, why was their week? See, we can
Oh,
go
yeah.
there.
He's quick to turn it around and say, "Is it hard for you to focus on yourself today?"
Boy, they got the ninja moves with that shit.
do.
You're like, hey, how are you? I'm good, or I'm okay. How are you? Or just like that wasn't a very good example of how they switched it around, but they got the maneuvers.
They do. They must be trained really well.
Well, obviously,
Good for us for having good therapists.
I would say, but I will tell you right now with my therapist, this idea of rejection, every time she tells, and I told her this too. I tell her everything. Every time she tells me that I'm doing a good job or that I'm progressing, I feel like she's gonna fire me. She's going to reject me. She's going to get rid of me because I'm doing too well. Because I don't need her anymore.
Yeah.
And it comes up probably once every 2 months. Yes, that's my pace. I'm doing well.
Good for you.
I'm doing fucking well. as far as that goes. But yeah, every time she does it, and she knows it by now. I've said it several times, and she, and I'm glad that she's able to speak to my progress. But I swear there's that, we're going to figure it out one day. But it makes me feel like she's going to reject me or like, make me go away.
I understand that fear completely.
Yeah.
I being rejected by a therapist previously, I've asked Craig, hey, are you going to dump me one day? Like, I ask him if he's going to leave the clinic, because I go to a clinic. And he's like, I have no plans to leave anytime soon. He's also the executive director or the assistant executive director.
Oh, he just wait on it. He gonna get that promotion.
I even asked him, I said, hey, if, he retires and you become the executive director, will you have to cut patients? Because, you can't cut me. And he was like, I don't know what he said, but he was basically like, no, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Not soon, but he said, I don't see that happening.
Okay.
But I also think I'm his favorite, so why would he cut me?
He would cut you. We have to stop using that word. Also, cut. Like
that is true.
That's not very helpful. But totally, he gets to move on. He gets to, and not for nothing, like not to like make it all sappy and stuff. But that is a part of your growth as well. Like being able to have, yeah. And I remember when I've gone through a few therapists. Some of which, like I think my first therapist was like court ordered. The first 2 or 3 were court ordered, and then the last 3 I've chosen.
Nice.
But there was, of the last 3, talk about rejection. When did the theme become rejection? It's okay. We're going to spin it back. But this one is too funny to not mention. There's a therapist that I had for some months, I think it was. And I told you this story, but I still laugh at it every single time, but I have to tell the people. Girl, these were the days. This was definitely before, the pandy wandy. This was like back in, like right after college, maybe, or maybe I think it was during college. I can't really remember, but I was ready to tackle my trauma, and I was glad to have a partner in that, the therapist. And I was seeing him for a while, and we were making progress, I think, and I began to realize that he was always such a calming person, had a calming personality, and it grew to my attention that he may be falling asleep during my sessions.
Yes.
And I had a hunch in certain moments, and like I knew my body felt uncomfortable, and I couldn't stop like ruminating on it. So then one particular day, I gave myself a test, or like tried to test it out, and we were sitting there. I was having a pretty hard breakdown, and this is why it made it worse. It's because I was really having a breakdown, and sure enough, I see him get really still. He usually would do like a nodding thing. Like he would close his eyes, and I would feel like he's listening to me because he's nodding.
Yeah.
And he did his nodding thing, and he kind of nodded off, if you will. And I paused, and I just stayed quiet. And he just kind of slowed, and he was just like there. And it was like a minute or 2. I timed it, and that's a very long time to not open your eyes, to give me no sound or reaction, and to low-key be slumped a little bit in a chair.
Yeah.
And then his posture changed. He came back, opened his eyes, closed them back, nodded again, and says, and how does that make you feel? Yup. And in that moment, I knew what had just happened.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure there's a way that I could like reapproach this and like see where he wasn't asleep. But there was just too much evidence pointing in that direction.
Yeah.
And we weren't in a place where I felt comfortable enough even addressing that with him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, you just don't care about my shit.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't care about my shit. And that's okay. I'll find someone who does. And I did.
Them.
And I don't know if I actually forgave him. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that's so funny you asked that.
I would find it hard to forgive someone too. If I'm paying you to do a job and you're sleeping on the job, especially a job like that. I'm not going to lie. I've slept on the clock before. But a job like that where your only job is to pay attention and give good advice and feedback and reflect with someone, to fall asleep is just like, Like, what?
It's wildly disrespectful
So
as well.
disrespectful.
Wildly disrespectful. And I built so many stories about myself and my self-worth because of that situation.
Oh, wow.
I really did.
I could see that too, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the one new time that I was like trying to seek help on my own after like years of stewing on trauma. And that was what I got. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. But anyway, I actually haven't forgiven him, which is crazy to say.
No.
And I don't really feel like I need to.
You don't.
I don't feel like I need to. Maybe it takes up 1% of my brain
Look at
space.
me hyping you up. You don't need to forgive him.
Fuck him, girl. He ain't shit, girl. Girl, he never deserved you, girl. Well, so be it. But I think there's something to that. You don't got to forgive everybody.
You don't.
And sometimes I think you can forgive the situation
Yes.
and
not the
leave
person.
and not the person. Please do tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, when you say, it's hard for me actually, I said yes, but I feel like forgiving is so much about a human interaction rather than the situation
Okay.
that I feel like it's hard. You can say, oh yeah, the situation happened, but I think the forgiveness involves another person.
You think true forgiveness?
True forgiveness, yeah.
I can side with you a little bit on that, but for the sake of like sometimes when you like remember you were talking about forgiveness can involve most likely in a great scenario involves a person recognizing the error of their ways, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it involves an apology that you might not ever get.
Yeah.
Okay? Even when there's like an air of remorse in the room, but the person, like some things are just objectively bad.
Yeah.
There's certain things I think 11 out of 10 people that you walk across, that you pass on the street, they're gonna say, yeah, doing XYZ is bad. You should not do XYZ. It is not good. No one's really gonna say like under what circumstances. No one's really gonna go for that. So like with what's her name, the bio mom, she owed an apology that she never gave. She never gave it.
Yeah.
She wrote many letters. I've had several conversations with her. There was never, ever, ever
An apology.
an apology. And I'm like, bro, you just did some shit. And and I don't even know how I had it in me. Low key, I feel like I may have been just stupid. Or maybe I just missed my bio mom. But I call her bio mom because I really only recognize her for bringing me into the world.
Okay.
I just recognize her for biology, frankly.
Okay.
And then like if we had a larger conversation, I could talk about like things that she's like trained into me, raised into me, like the really great things, sure. But by and large, it's just a bio mom. She brought me in. But she never ever gave an apology.
Do you think you can forgive without the apology?
Fully?
Fully.
No.
I don't think so either, yeah.
No. So like even when I say that that's what I mean low key, like I forgive the situation. That's like kind of the closest that I can get to it. Like I can forgive, like I can accept, maybe I more so mean accepting the situation, because that is huge. Even just like accepting the situation.
That is true. I think that's more acceptance than forgiveness.
Yeah.
But that's part of forgiveness. That's part of the journey.
It's all one and the same. So like I will never be able to forget, like, the way that she shifted our family's lives.
Yeah.
Our family's life. How do you say that? Is that what you say? Family's life? This group? That group's life? Or the family members' lives?
That's good.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
No one will be able to forget. You just don't get to.
Yeah.
But like the forgiving part is something that I've had to do on my own / with my therapists and stuff. But like there will never be that apology or the conversation or anything. There will never be that. So like I don't always think that it's necessary to forgive. I think maybe it's just on a spectrum or like a pie chart that if you can give enough forgiveness, to about 75%,
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I would say with that situation and that person, I've given it 75.
That's good. I think that's a good amount to be able.
Do you think that's a good amount?
I think that's a good amount to be able to like not necessarily let it go, but to not have it occupy a lot of your brain anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so. And then I do want to talk about this because we're kind of on the cusp of it, but like the idea of like, remember, forgive and forget, or forget forgiving. Like, is there ever a time where you should just straight up not forgive? Like, just fuck it. Like, what is it? Forget it.
I think that's a hard question because I feel like some things that people do, well, I was going to say are unforgivable, but then I'm thinking about one's own peace. And I feel like you said before, it's more hurting you than it is them at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at a certain point, like you have to forgive up to a point to be able to live your life again.
Yeah. In a sustainable way.
In a sustainable way, yeah.
Okay. I would say that. This makes me think about something that I don't know if we talked about this, or maybe like I think maybe like Sydney and like Tamara, we've kind of gone on to this, but like sometimes I wish that like I didn't know as much as I did, and I'm not like saying like, oh, I'm smart and shit. No, sometimes I wish that my level of awareness was not what it is.
I concur.
Because there is something to just not. If there's something to being naive.
Yeah.
There's something to just being ignorant, and sometimes it should be looking nice.
They're happier.
They look happier.
Yeah.
They don't even know the level of stress that they're inflicting on their body, mind, spirit.
That's partly why I stopped watching the news.
Girl. Yes.
Because I needed that. Something had to give. And I needed some sort of relief from all the anxieties and troubles, and I want to focus on me more. That sounds very selfish.
Is it selfish? And you know that already. Selfish isn't necessarily a bad word.
Yeah.
I think we've all come to realize that, like, in America, I think part of the reason we are the way we are, Americans, so blanket statement, but this is a country of individualism. Mm-hmm. Like, I can support that, but don't be mad when certain things aren't passed down to generations.
Yeah.
We're not actually caring about the family unit. Mm-hmm. I think I'm like 2 breaths away from sounding MAGA-y. We care about the family unit. Have babies. Anyway, but yeah, you can't be mad when certain things aren't passed down to generations, because we were never, the society's built in a way that like you just have to grind and work so hard. And yeah, it's for your family, but it's like for your family only. We're not even thinking about interconnections between families. Like that used to be more important. You used to know your neighbor.
That's true.
Like all of these things.
There's this thing I learned when I took psychology in high school. That's a lie. I learned it somewhere else. I'm not giving that much credit to that class. But that one can, at a certain point, one can only care about their inner circle. Mm-hmm. Like their family, their friends, people they're close to, and worry about their problems and stick to that, because trying to worry about bigger things than that, like the world's problems and other people's problems, it just becomes too much, and that person is kind of can go, I know crazy's not no one's technically crazy, there's always a reason behind something, but that person can their brain can deteriorate basically.
Okay.
Mentally.
Okay.
Because it's just too much trauma, too much everything in the world.
But that's after the fact. The way I see it is, if we would take more initiative in preparing the peoples around us, and I mean outside of our close family units and stuff, if we would be more proactive, or whilst we take care of our units, if we would consider that, tithing, you give like 10% to like God and stuff. If there was a community tithing in a way to the people around you, even like a few degrees outside of your family unit. Like,
that's true.
That might be really good and really effective.
That's true.
And it's proactive it's preventative and proactive. Whereas what you just described with the whole deterioration, if you pay attention to too much outside of yourself, that's reactive.
That's true. I like that. I like that thinking.
I don't know if it's... I think you would have to ask people to take the risk to like there's so much of a fear of like, what if I can't provide for me and mine?
Yeah.
So like you have to battle that with people, but that's a whole other...
Very much.
That's a whole other conversation. I don't know how we got there.
Me either.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I only want to say this out on the mic because I thought it was such a cute moment, so that I can like remember this later. But today, Woogie and I went to Bubby's, and it was all right. We've been there before, and the food was bomb last time. That's why we was like, we're gonna go again. The chicken was salty. Okay, it was fucking salty. Doesn't matter. That's not what the story's about. We were on our way back to. We took the train on the way back to my place. And I know Kelly loves Seal.
I love Seal.
And she will always sing Kissed by a Rose.
Well, I love that one song by Seal.
Yeah. I don't think she really knows other ones. Yeah. You don't know any other one. She knows nothing else. And you actually surprised me when you first started singing. I was like, why did you know this song?
It's so good.
It's so good. It's terribly good.
It's so good.
It's so good. And so I just kept singing it. Kissed by a rose, I'm like and did you know that when it snows? Yeah. And we were on the train and we're sitting next to each other and we sang the song without words. Like we just did it. We just what did we do? We just kind of like mouthed the words.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such a beautiful moment.
That was a beautiful moment.
And I knew every time you were about to hit the baby or like, did you know that when it snowed? I knew it. I saw it coming.
Nice. I thought you were going to mention the lady with the wheelchair.
Oh.
And that's what I thought you were going to tell that story.
Oh, that's funny too.
Is it funny? That's a bad setup.
Okay, that's not the right word. Bro, that's not the right word. I didn't mean to say that.
It's not what it seems like.
I think what I described was, it's funny that I forgot to mention or didn't think to mention that.
Yeah.
Maybe because it just felt very natural. Not that the other part didn't. But we're getting off that same train that we were on. We get off and there's like these two women. One is obviously middle-aged. One is like definitely well into older, you maybe like 70s or so. And I will say in New York City, especially like public transportation, there is just, even though they've worked on it over the years, there's just not enough options for like ADA compliant. Like all these stations need to be ADA compliant.
Yeah.
Unless they're like less than like a quarter mile away from each other, I think every single station should have some sort of help because these strollers and these grandpappies, their backs can't do it. Yeah. So we see this woman going up the older woman going up the stairs, clutching onto the pole. The middle-aged woman is like trying to pull up I was going to say a scooter. What the fuck? Trying to pull up the wheelchair. Yeah. And Kelly Woogie just boasts into action. And she begins to like hold the bottom part of the wheelchair while she goes up the one flight. And it's coming from a girl who was bitching about the flights of stairs that we took today.
Oh, I was upset.
She says, where's the escalator?
Where's the escalators? Where's the elevators? I'm not a stairs person.
After that,
yes,
there was another flight of stairs.
There's another flight of stairs.
To Kelly's regret. So, like oftentimes in the train stations, you are at the train level, the platform, and then you go up one level, and usually that can be like where the ticket booth is. And then you have to go up one more flight to where the main street level is. And I knew the moment we brought the wheelchair and lady up the one flight, we was going to have to do it again. Yeah. But it is also raining outside today, and so I'm like, the middle age is going to have to walk Meemaw up the stairs. Yeah. It's too dangerous. So then me and Kelly.
Together.
Like the team we are.
The team.
And we hoisted that hoe up them stairs.
It was a lot of stairs.
It wasn't that many, but it was a lot. That thing was heavy.
The thing was heavy.
That thing was heavy, and to be honest, there was shit on it. It wasn't just a wheelchair. They had pockets in there.
Oh yeah, they had like bags and
stuff.
stuff.
Girl. I don't. They would have. You see how long we've been over here? Like an hour and change, 2 hours. They would have still been trying to get up the stairs.
It was a lot. I will say I did ask Brittany after if I was a good person, because in my head when I saw the wheelchair and I first helped, my first thought wasn't, oh, let me help them. My first thought was, I'm gonna have to help them.
And I told her you can be both. Like you can be like frustrated about you have to like, pick something up that's like heavy and like maybe a little inconveniencing. But I think, it still makes you a good person that you were just frustrated at like the way your brain went. Like your brain was like, we help.
Yeah.
And your body was probably like, bitch.
We're tired.
Exactly.
We just climbed all these stairs Brittany had us go up.
And down and up.
And the down doesn't bother me. The up is the thing that bothers me.
You know what actually the down bothers me?
Really?
My knees, girl. It don't like the strain. There's a strain on my knees in a particular way that it's odd when I go downstairs.
It hurts more.
It strains more. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it hurts. But like going upstairs, I think I'm just using a different muscle.
That's true.
So like I'm using like quads and the wagon to go up.
You should do water aerobics.
What?
That's what all the old people do when their knees and joints start acting up.
We're going to conclude the podcast here today. You think I'm playing, but I'm serious because we're actually at time. This was lengthy. I'm very happy with what you got, though. We got all good things, babe.
I feel like I rambled a lot and I didn't make sense.
I'm going to hold space for that thought.
Okay.
But that's not what this is about, babes.
That's true.
Facto. So you know what time it is. Even though I know we dropped some major gems, how would you, kind of pull together a lot of what we said, or like what stood out to you the most from this conversation?
What stood out to me most? I think the thing that stood out to me most was the idea of that you kind of brought up of accepting the situation but not forgiving the person. Because I feel like that's what most people can do. If the person's not ready, if the person who has offended you or hurt you cannot apologize or can't wrap their head around the idea that they hurt someone in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you were saying that just now, I like started to feel a little bit of like shame or guilt around not being able to fully forgive a person, because it sounds virtuous and I like want to be virtuous and like kind and like all these, right? Am I using that word right?
Yeah.
I want to be like kind and like virtuous, and I feel like that's the direction like in my head, or like that's the prototype, that's the that's like the beacon, like we all strive for that, maybe
like Jesus of Nazareth.
Okay, let's move on. But I felt bad in a moment when you were saying that, because I'm like, that still means that I can't commit myself to 100% forgiveness on someone, which now, like that was just in that moment, but like I'm fully on board for that version of me where, nah, bitch, I can't forgive you fully. Like that's just what it's gonna have to be.
Well, I feel like that's also what I do a lot is black and white thinking, where it's either I forgive you all or I don't forgive you.
Okay.
And there's like a spectrum, like you said before.
Yeah, there totally
and that's
is.
very much more human.
Yeah, it could be more human.
I feel like what you're like talking about is more of it's like great to strive for that, but I feel like it's less realistic.
Yeah, I think I have, yes, it's less realistic. It's so complicated. This whole, obviously all of what we discussed, like there's super complex.
Yeah.
But like, I think now what I'll add is like your relationship with said person, your experience with said person is going to be different from it is with anyone else. Mm-hmm. You have to decide for yourself what's enough for you, what's not okay with you, like what your standards are.
Yeah.
And just have it be that, because I'll be damned if I'm walking around here feeling any more of that level of guilt that I had in that split moment, or shame around decisions that I made for myself and that helped me sleep at night. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's my word.
Yes, I like that.
That's my word. Look, Wood, I love you very much.
I love you too.
When you say it that fast, I don't believe you.
Because it's awesome. Instant.
Like coffee.
That's not the good coffee.
Bro, I'm
so
funny.
no.
Don't play with instant coffee because it also hits the spot.
Were you part of when I was in college, I started drinking coffee?
No.
And in the movies, people would just drink coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
So I was not eating anything. I was just drinking coffee in the morning. And around noon, I would get sick. Like, so sick. Like, my stomach would be in knots. And then I was with a group of people telling them that. And they're like, coffee's a diuretic, right? You have to eat something with it. And I felt so stupid.
No, you just didn't know.
But that was instant coffee I was using.
No, that's wrong.
I know, I blame
That's
it on
wrong.
that.
And you landed it with instant coffee, did that to you, babes? No, that's just what is this, caffeine beans and all that shit?
Yeah.
That's what it does to you.
Yeah. But I know we're over, so we have to end.
It's okay. Again, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.